Hi! So I'm really excited to finally share this series with you. This is the first of many. The goal of this is to get people comfortable and confident in using tools to start their DIY journey. I've had lots of people over the last few years ask me for tool recommendations, like how to use the tool. The series is going to be called Tool Time Tuesdays, and it will be dedicated to learning basic tools, how to use certain tools, like what tools work for which projects. And please let me put this disclaimer out there. I am not a licensed carpenter. This is all based off of my personal experience. I've been doing DIY for about 7 years. I'm actually an IT consultant by day. So this is just my fun hobby that I started to do, and I fell in love with it. And I just want to show others how to use these tools in case you are wanting to jump into DIY too. So the miter saw is going to be the first of the segment. Again, naming them Tool Time Tuesdays. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. So here she is. Isn't she a beaut? So again, the 12-inch compact sliding dual bevel miter saw. Try to say that 10 times fast. I had the smaller one previously. I loved that. It did like all of the cuts and did all of my projects up until the closet actually stopped working. It started smoking, and I had it for several years. So I was like, oh, it's time to get a new one. So again, just trying to familiarize you with this tool. They're all pretty much the same-ish. So just to give you an idea of like where you can start. And again, this is just the basic. So we can go over some of the things, the features this one has specifically. So this is the bevel lock handle right here. If you lift up and push up, you can see this slide, right? If you want straight cuts, you want it at 0. You want to lock that back down. Mine has a laser, and it's actually a dual laser. There's a vertical and a horizontal, which is new. That's not something I had previously. But I will say from my experience with using miter saws with lasers, the laser is always off a little bit. So I highly recommend to still measure with your tape measure and a pencil. So you can tell that my miter saw is on. You can see that the laser, so I don't recommend like playing around with it obviously when it's on. I'm just doing it because I'm very familiar with mine. There's also that dust bag that you can see, and that gets the sawdust. That's still gonna get places obviously, but it's gonna help get a majority of it. So then once you wanna use it, you can actually just pull this button back out, unscrew this, it slides again. For larger pieces of wood, if you're cutting, this is a clamp that will actually hold down the wood. You can lift up on here, and these sliding wings right here can help stabilize the wood, and there's one on both sides. You just push this down. You can see it on that side as well. And then you have the bevel handle right here. Again, push up. And this is dual, so you can go both ways, you can see. But if you want to do straight cuts and you want to keep it at 0, you can see the 0 down there. And it'll lock into place. If you want to do a beveled edge, which this is something that you would do with like trim, crown molding, anything that you're going to do like to like bring two joists together, you'll want to do a beveled edge. Well, this one does the dual, it goes both ways. So you would pull this up and this would go down, but you see that this is in the way here, so you'd actually have to lock it back in place. And the one I had before actually had this, like a clamp, but this one has a screw that I would unscrew like this. And then once you pull that out, this will go all the way down. And then you see down back here, and again, they vary based off of which one. You can see back here that there's this little, I'm gonna lock that back in place, this little gadget here, and this is actually what it's resting on. So this back here is resting on this, and this is dictating what angles you're cutting at. So 45 degree is like I would say is the one most common. And then there's a 33.9, and then it also does 15. But this slides with this, or this rotates depending on that. I'm gonna actually make a few cuts and show you how to use this. I remember my first time using my other one, I had like my butt out and I was scared it was like the saw was just gonna like spin off into craziness. So recommend for sure safety goggles, because you don't want any wood or any debris going into your eyeball, especially when you have a saw going with this type of blade. See, look how big this blade is. There are places on the saw that tell you not to put your hand, just so you know. So definitely don't put your hand in the places that it says to not put your hand. I use my circular saw for anything over 6 feet. It's what I recommend. I have done 8 feet before, but it just depends on the weight of the wood. Straight cut, let's do this. Have it here. You would measure it obviously first. You want to make sure it's straight. And there's this lever here that you have to push down. You see right here, there's this lever that you had to push down and then hold it in place for it to go. So you can see the lasers on. So if you see a bunch of, it's a pretty new blade, so you're not gonna see a bunch here, but if you see a ton of tears on your wood, like on the edges, then that's indicating that it's probably time for a new blade. So you can see there, it's really clean, so it's a new blade. You don't have that problem, but if you had a ton of like tattered pieces of wood up here, then you probably need to purchase a new one, a new blade for cleaner cuts. So that was a straight cut. Now let's do a bevel cut. I'm just gonna do one at 45 degrees. This wood right here. So to do that, 45-degree angle mark, I'm putting it on this. I've got to put this lever in here, just so you guys can see better. So for the beveled 45-degree angle cut, I have this set down here. You're gonna pull this up because you want this to scroll down, and you can see as I did that, I set it at the 45 angle. So it is a tiny bit off. I need to get a speed square and like reset the bolts. And also, because it's compact, you're able to move it and carry it. And if you buy the saw and you don't plan on moving it and always using the saw in that place, there's places that you can actually screw it into place on a table. But I have it at 45-degree angle. And you don't want to put your hand in the places it says not to put your hands. I'm going to set this here. And depending on how you want to cut it, I mean, if you want the longer edge on the outside, you cut this way. If you want the longer edge on the inside, you would just flip it over. I'm going to flip it over. Push down the lever. If you want to make a straight cut and you have like a bigger piece of wood, like I said, and I'm just using scraps, so pull this back, lock this down. I'm just using scrap wood, but if it were super long and didn't want my hand there, you can use the clamp it comes with. But you will have to adjust this based off of the depth of your piece of wood. So this can go into, you see the hole back there. I have to adjust this a little bit. Once I do, I'm rotating it up. Once you have it where it's actually secured in the back, like that, then you can tighten this there and then it would stay in place and you don't have to have your hand down there. Tighten that. This doesn't move. You can see it's super clean. It's a nice cut. I don't like to do it this way. You can go in and then go out like this. So you can do it this way, where you start here and then you push it in. I actually just like to come from the top and then go down. And you do want to take good care of your tools, especially when they're expensive. So I actually will get my leaf blower and blow all the debris off. I do that often. but then you want to unplug it, and then once it's unplugged, then you can set it in place so the blade's not up. So again, you set this down, you push this button in. See, that's not going to go up anymore. And then to stop it from sliding, especially if you're carrying it somewhere, just tighten this, and push these back in, tighten those, and that's it.